Hey everyone, welcome back in my new video. This video is about push notifications in JavaScript. So this is the part 1 of the push notifications. I will make another one in the next week. So if you enjoy this one, then please give it a like and leave a comment if you have any questions. And so without wasting your time, let's take a look what I prepared for this one. So let's talk about the push notifications APIs in JavaScript. First of all, why would you even use them? So the answer for this is that you will want to engage your users with the new content that is happening in your browser, or new message that is coming from the server, like information that you want to show to the user. The push notifications are executed in the background, so they are not executed in the same thread as your main app, so the same way that the service worker are working, right? And also, when the browser is offline or when the page is closed, then the browser can still receive all the updates that you're sending from the server, and then the browser can create these messages and then show it when the user is back online. So these are basically the three main goals, or the main points why we use the push notifications in JavaScript. So now let's talk about the push API in JavaScript. So what will be the push message process? So the first step will be on your client side of your application. You will have to subscribe a user for the push messages, and after you subscribe the user and you have asked your user for the permission to show them new notifications, after that you will have to send the subscription object to your server, and your server will store this object with all the informations, with the special URL and special key. And when the server sends an API call to your application to show the message, then you will send an API call from the server. And as you can see here in this diagram, your server or your backend of your application sends a network request that is standardized as a web push protocol, and this API call will be sent to the push service of the web browser. And because each browser has different push services, but they all expect the same API. So no matter what kind of browser your user use, the push service will be expecting the same API call from your server. So after you send the API call from your backend or your server to the push service, the push service will then send this message to the browser, and the browser will basically decrypt the message. It will read the data, and whenever the user is online, it will send the push event to the service worker of your application. And if the user is offline, then the message will be quit, and whenever the user came online again, then the message will be showed. So let's take a look again at the flow. So the server, the backend, sends a network request of the web push protocol, which is a standard type of the network request for the push messages. These push messages will be then sent to the push service of the web browser. The web browser will read the object and decrypt the data, and whenever the user is online, it will send the push event to your service worker, and the user will get a new notification message in the browser, in the UI, right? And so let's take a look at the steps that we will have to take to basically implement this. So The first step will be check for the push manager support in your browser. So as you can see here, to check for the support of this push manager object, you can check if the service worker. So basically, you have to have the service worker to I would say handle this push event, and then send a message to your UI. So the first step will be to check if your browser supports the service worker. So here you can see that I'm checking if the service worker doesn't exist in the navigator interface, then the service worker is not supported, so you will have to disable or hide the UI. And the second one will be to check if the push manager exists in the window object of the application. So here you can see that I'm checking if the push manager exists, and if it does not exist, then you will have to again disable or hide the UI of the application. And so the second step will be to register the new service worker of your application. And I made a video about this in my previous one, about the service worker, but I will show you again. Here I made a new function, and inside the function I'm accessing the navigator interface. I'm then accessing the service worker object and the method of register. And as an argument, I'm passing in the name of the file. And because the register method returns a promise, I then handle this promise with .then and .catch methods. And if the registration process succeeds, I'm then getting the console log service worker registered successfully. And whenever I get an error, I get a console error, registration failed. And so this is the way that you will have to register your service worker to basically handle the push event that will come from your web browser, right? And the first step will be to basically ask the user for the permission for notifications, because you have to ask the user if the user wants to receive the messages or the notifications that you're sending from your server. So here you can see that I'm basically the API for requesting the permission changed in the last years. The first method of the first way was to passing the callback function inside the request permission as an argument, but it changed to that then promise. So the new way will be to passing to receiving a promise and then handle this promise with that then. But because we can say if the user is which browser the user uses, so we have to support the both ways. So here you can see that I'm creating a function get user permission, and I'm returning a new promise which takes in the executor 2 arguments, resolve and reject. And here I'm just making a new variable, and I'm accessing the notification API, and then accessing the request permission method. And to support the first way or the old way, I'm passing in the callback function. And so here you can see that I'm creating a function, an arrow function, which takes the result as an argument, and I'm resolving this result. And here I'm just checking if this exists. Then I'm passing. So basically, if the user accepted the request permission, then I'm basically fetching this promise, and I'm passing it .then with the resolve and the reject functions from the promise that I created here. And whatever we will be basically whatever we get back from this promise, I'm then catching this with the .then method. And if the if this object is equal to denied, then we get an error because the user didn't grant it the permission. So this is the way to ask the user for the permission for the notification. This is the way to register a service worker to handle the push events from the push service, which is here, right? And the first step will be to check for the push manager support in your browser. So let's again take a look at this flow, because it's very important to understand it. So the first step is that your server sends a network request, which is standardized as a web push protocol to the push service. Then the push service of your browser sends this message to the browser. The browser decrypts the message and reads the data. And whenever the user is offline or online, if the user is online or the browser is open, then we will send the push event to the service worker, and we will show the notification in the browser, in the UI. And whenever the user is offline, then we equate the message depending on what time did you specify to wait for the user. You can also say that you want your message to be deleted after 1 day, or of user offline status, then the message will be deleted after 1 day. So this is the way. In the next part, I will talk about the subscribing user with a push manager. Then I will talk about handling the push event in the service worker, and I will also talk about the displaying a new notification in your UI. So this was a short part about the push notifications API, and in the second one I will go ahead and go a little bit deeper in this topic. So stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.